Okay, so now that I have a rough layout of my images on my sheet, I'm going to come up here and I'm gonna clear my guides. And yeah, it didn't quite snap right. It's okay. So what I want to do next is I want to lay out a grid. So I'm going to go, okay, they've moved over here. So you want to go under Photoshop, Preferences, and Guides, and Grid Selection and Slices. Okay. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, you can select what color your grids are, and you can make it any color you want. I actually like darker colors. I think that they're on a white page anyway. They're easier to work with. Okay. So I'm asking for these colors. Now, oh, those are my guides. Sorry. My grid. Here we go. Color. Let's make it something really dark, but not. Make it dark green. Okay. So you're going to have a grid line in this case every 1 inch. And then it's going to then have 4 subdivisions. So that basically means that there's going to be a grid every 0.25 inches. Now, that'll work in this case. I don't think I need to make it any smaller. So let's say okay. And then view. And show. Sorry, I was looking for it. And turn on the grid. And so you can see I now have a grid. And so these lines are every 1 inch. And in between are divisions. And what this will allow me to do is to move my photos so that they are snapping now, so that they're laid out a little bit better here. Yeah, that'll work. Laying them out on that grid like that. Let's just make sure that's right. There we go. Oh, I didn't put 2 grids in between that one. Okay. We're just snapping to the spaces so they've got this laid out neatly. Now, you always want to take the time to do things like this for this reason. If it looks good, people will think it is good. If it doesn't look good, people will think it isn't good. And so when you're laying out anything and you're making it nice and neat and organized, people are going to assume that because you took the time to do this, you know what you're doing. Okay. And if need be, I mean, I can select them all and move them as a group so that they're centered in my artboard, so that I have the same number of divisions on top as on bottom. Okay, and then I turn my grid off. And I have a neater layout to my images. All right, so I'm going to save this. In my folder. I created a folder for this somewhere. I thought I did under download. There we go. Okay. I can create another subfolder. Inside my class folder, and then I'm going to save it in there as a Photoshop file. Okay, so one of the next things you want to notice, you see my images, some of them are bluish and some of them are yellowish. They don't all match. in order to do that, oh, we're good. I saved it already. In order to do that, we're going to make adjustments to the color. Now, we haven't gotten into fill layers yet. So for these images, what I'm going to show you is actually a fill adjustment layer. But we're also going to work with the neural filters. And so one thing that you can do, I've got them all selected here. Now I'm going to, I don't think it's going to let me work on them all. Yeah, it won't let me, so you can't select them all and work with them all together. But you don't want to anyway, because you want to make individual adjustments. So we're going to start with the first image and filter, neural filter. And colorize. Didn't apply it, why not? A layer selected, image selected, filter, neural filter. Colorize. Well, it does help with colorization of black and white photos, but it also helps with regular colorization. It's strange. Okay, I turned it on. Apparently it was turned off. Okay, so now that we have the image here, it's made some adjustments. You can go through and actually tell it specific things that you want to do. Oh, I kind of like those. That's kind of cool. It really plays into my hysterical image. Okay, but I'm not going to do that for now because I want to show you guys what the rest of this does. Okay, so what it did was it pulled out all the color. It did an auto color image, and I'm going to uncheck that. I don't want it doing the auto thing. What this is now going to allow me to do is to make adjustments to my image that will help me achieve color balance. Okay, and so because I can see them all at the same time, I can get a feel for what's going on. And these are all, with the exception of these two in the middle, well, kind of that one, they're all kind of bluish. So one of the ways that you can adjust for a problem is by adding the color that's its opposite. So if I feel like this is too blue, I can come down here to my slider and make it more yellow. Right now I made it too yellow, but you see what I'm saying. You can then, it'll help you achieve a balance to your image. Now I want to make sure I can see the number. It's not telling me the number. So I want to be able to do the same thing in all of them. But if I want to be creative, if I really want to be creative, I could really start playing around with some colors here and do some interesting things. Okay, so you see how I begin to achieve, and I can bump up the saturation if I want. Some interesting color effects. Noise is pixels in an image that you might see, like little color pixelization, and you can help take some of that out by reducing the noise in an image. I don't have a whole lot here. Okay. Let's go back to normal. Ooh, look at that. Kind of like the whole hysterical being more reddish. like red, angry in the face. Okay, and so here's where I can begin to really play around with this a little bit. It's kind of an interesting color. And so what I can do is go through and colorize individually every single one of my photos so that I have achieved color balance. Okay. Or creative color. Now let's cancel this. I'll show you another thing you can do. Okay, it didn't take. Good. All right, so another thing you can do is you can come down here, and this is a little quick preview. For each individual layer, you can create a new adjustment layer. This is a non-destructive way to work with your changes. Okay, so you have all of these modifications that you can make off the top bar up there, but those are destructive. We're not wanting to destroy the photos because we might want to make changes. So if we go here to, there's a whole bunch of different things you can do. If we go to color lookup, it will give us information about the colors we want to use. And it will also give us some adjustments: brightness, contrasts, levels, curves, exposure, vibrance. There's the color lookup one, right? So you can see we've got all these different ones that we can work with. And we also have, let me get rid of this. Oops, I didn't want to get rid of the whole thing. Okay, so let's try Candlelight Cube. And you see how this is now, by changing this top one, this output file, it's going to give our images a different look. And so because I know what my story is, my theme is, I know what I'm going for, that's kind of retro. It will help me make decisions about what I'm doing. I like that. I'm going with the horror blue. Okay, so now that I've applied that to my image, I'm going to need to right click or control click on a Mac and create a clipping mask. And what that's going to do is it's going to apply this to this layer. And you can tell because it's got that little arrow pointing down to the layer below it. Now, let's select both of these. And you can link them. And so now, if I decide I want to move this layer around, I want to change it in the hierarchy, it will take its modified filter with it. Okay. And so I may decide for each one of these that I want to do the exact same modification. Okay, now it's applying it doubly there. I don't want it to. We're just going to apply it there, but I'll show you what we're going to do here. So now it's applying to everything below it. That's when we're going to hit our right key or our control key and create a clipping mask. And now it has restricted it to that image. So what I'm going to do is select both images and layer and link those layers. Okay, and so this color lookup layer is only applied to this layer, and this color lookup layer is only applied to this layer. And that's how you go through and you can make that change. Okay, so I'll show you one more time. So I'm going to go to my color lookup, I'm going to change that again to that horror blue. And it's applying it to the whole canvas. Might actually want to do it twice. And then I'm going to select it and control click or right click on a PC and create a clipping mask. And so it's just applying to that. Hold down the shift key, select my layers, and then layer, lock layers. Oh, sorry, link layers. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. I'm going to go and finish this up, and I'll see you in the next video.